Yo, genetics did not do you well. You got done dirty by your family tree. Ma'am, I haven't been touched like this since my mom patted me on the back. Oh my god, ma'am! Yours leg day, she's the real one. You're such a small... You know, if he likes being bullied, there is a shot for him with this woman. It all will depend if he likes being stepped on. As one of the biggest fans of Spy Family, it feels good, of course, to be back with Season 3, especially when I remember people telling me, don't get too happy, it'll probably be done after a season. Look at us now. But here's the thing. I've always enjoyed old Franky. I've always thought to myself, he's a fun character, but boy golly does his luck and ladies, suck. Half the time I think it's his own fault. His personality, the way he expresses himself, it's no wonder he fumbles the ladies. But then sometimes, I think it was in Season 2, I'm just like, boy, I feel bad for you with the way she already had a boyfriend. Poor bastard. And then for half of this new episode, it's nightfall in him. And I think to myself, okay, Franks, yeah, one, you're not going to have a shot with her, and two, you probably don't want to have a shot with her. She'll probably slice it off. And to be honest, she's way too interested in our boys, so, you know, good luck. But by the end of this episode, I actually looked at it and I said, huh. Well, sure, he's acting like, I don't want you, don't come around here anymore. Not only did I not expect to have an actual potential romance for Franky, I didn't expect Nightfall of all characters to be the one that might eventually blossom into something. Now, not anytime soon, but there's something there. And I went from saying my boy is gonna stay terminally virgined out of his mind for all his life to actually, before the show's over, Frank might actually get some wild experience. And make sure you drop a like on this video, help show your support, subscribe if you're new around here, and Patreon's where you catch my full live reactions, all this and more. If you also want to help fund the channel and videos just like these. So another Saturday show, it is Sunday. I don't know what day of the week we will be releasing these, but sometime in the weekend, Spy Family will continue. Now, Spy Family never really does great on my channel. It sometimes does fine, but it's not like a show that does like massively well. So on one hand, I don't want to make it a priority. On the other hand, it's something I really enjoy doing. So it's a bit of a do I focus on it first or not? I don't know. So the more likes, the more comments, the better videos like these do. It dictates when things come out. So just keep that in mind. But either way, we had two parts to this episode. We had the Forger family going on a little ootin', which dealt with Rock'em Sock'em robots, but with scoopers. It was fantastic. And then we obviously had the Franky pairing with Nightfall. And both parts, very enjoyable. The first part, it's Spy Family through and through. It's Spy Family coded. It does nothing that we haven't really seen before. It doesn't really try anything new, but it plays it safe. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. For a first episode, I kind of think that's an appropriate way to start an episode. You get Bond's visions. You get Anya being like, I can't let them know I can read minds, so we're going home to study. Yeah. Because she sees that, like, for some reason, trees are falling from the sky and something to do with construction workers. And then, you know, obviously our girl, Yor, she kicks ass and takes names, and then our boy pretends like he solves things in a normal way. It functions exactly as you... All the pieces that make this family up, they play the role you exactly expect. And if the entire season's like that, then yeah, that's a little repetitive and boring. But for the first episode back, it's a good one to start the season off. Where the show picks up in this episode is actually the second half, which focuses on two smaller characters. They're still relevant characters, but they're not part of the main family. At first I'm thinking, oh, once again, it's going to play it safe. It'll do exactly the, here's this cold, emotionless woman who's actually in love with our boy, and she likes no man other than, of course, Mr. Lloyd. And then Franky would be the, I'm going to sell you information, and also I fumble women. And it was around the time when they go into the bar or whatever, and he's like, this is my woman, where it kind of turned around. I was like, okay, it's fine, but now it's starting to get funny and more entertaining. It's weird because I totally expected by the end of the first half of this episode that the first half would be my favorite part. But in fact, I would actually argue the second half, which is actually a pretty big compliment because halfway through, I was saying, you know, it's enjoyable, but yeah, it's definitely not as good as the first part. But by the end, I really changed my tune. Because Franky is a character I've always really enjoyed. But Franky is a pretty predictable character, in my opinion. And the idea that, like, I'm sure there's going to be some people who say, oh no, there isn't a romance brewing, and it may not be a romance, but the fact that they're actually making a character who's so obsessed with our married man, you would think like she's definitely not going to give up anytime soon. And while I don't think she will, and I think they'll always keep the comedy around that she's more interested in him than maybe Franky, the fact that she's actually keeping herself around him a bit more, despite her seemingly hostility out, it makes a lot more interesting. Now, I think really the thing that will be the make it or break it if anything ever happens with them is if Franky likes being stepped on. Because if he doesn't, probably not the woman for him. But to be honest, everything I've seen from this man, I think you could step on any part of him and he'd probably be smiling. He may scream a bit, but, you know, a woman grabbed him by the arm and he almost creamed his pants. I think he doesn't have a lot of options. Let's keep it like that. But great return. I mean, it functions as a Spy Family episode would. It plays it mostly safe, but then the second half honestly plays it a bit more risky, and I like that. Spy Family is one of the shows that I truly think is undervalued for how consistent it is. We are now 38 episodes in, and a movie. I think they also have a second movie in the works, if I'm not mistaken. And this would be around the point that a show like this should start showing cracks. That, oh, it's starting to lose its edge, its momentum, it's doing the same things you expect. And while, yes, I did say the first half does play it safe, the whole episode doesn't. And it still has that unique charm to it, and still finding new creative character pairings to keep the edge there, even if a little. And I think one of the things people really undervalue is how consistent visually the show has looked. Very few anime that get 3, 4, 5 seasons in, multiple movies, look as consistent as Spy Family does. I think Dr. Stone's one of them, and while Dr. Stone doesn't have Sakuga for the most part, it still is a very consistent art style. You watch that from season 1, episode 1, all the way to the latest season, it feels like the same anime. You watch Attack on Titan from the beginning to the end, or My Hero Academia from the beginning to the end. They look like different shows every season. Some, not necessarily an issue. My Hero has dips in production, and you're like, okay, it's not as consistent. Attack on Titan switches art styles and studios. Spy Family, 10 years from now when Spy Family's over, right? And a fan picks it up, starts from episode 1, watches all the way to the final episode, including the movies. They're gonna think it was one continuous batch of episodes. That's how consistent it looks. And that's it's a rare thing. Not many anime get that. And I think that's something that goes undervalued and underappreciated. And I think for a show that I remember when I first started covering this, people were like, oh yeah, it's good, but it'll be like those anime, it gets one season and that's all we get. And I think a big reason people said that too is they thought there wasn't enough manga out there to make a consistent release schedule. So therefore, like, we would get blue balls eventually. And here we are. Even if they are close every time to catching up, they do anime original movies, they take a little break, but they come back strong, and every time they come back, it feels like it is a direct continuation. Not just because of the content, but visually. And that's something that's undervalued in this community, and I think it should be a little round of applause. Great content, fun, just overall, that is my rating for the episode. A great fun time, and I am incredibly excited for more, but I totally expect, like with every show that comes back with sequels, the fandom's interest gets lower and lower and lower, and it makes making videos for shows like these difficult. So make sure you drop a like on this video, help show your support, subscribe if you're new around here, stay up to date, and yes, Patreon is where I catch my full live reactions to all this and more. Like, hey, I also like to give video shoutouts to all my patrons. So today we got Abysmal Artists, Korea, The RPG Goes, Doro, and we also have Crystal Cat. So I appreciate the support. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.